Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to your maths session for today, where we're going to be moving on to a brand new unit. Okay, so on Monday, we were going to start looking at problem solving with multiplication and division. That's actually quite hard to teach over Zoom, so what we've decided is we're going to change the unit to look at something that we would have looked at next term. We're going to bring in that forward and doing a bit of a swap over. So what we're going to be looking at this term is we're going to be looking at area for the next week. Okay, so I want you to just rewind your learning to last term when we thought about perimeter. What can you remember about perimeter? Okay, perfect. Hopefully you paused the video there and had a think. Perimeter is the measurement all the way around the shape. I forgot myself then. The measurement all the way around the shape. Now, area is the measurement inside the shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share my screen like I did in English, share my screen for you, and we're going to show you the power maths as we would normally. So bear with me a second, and I'm going to show you this. Okay, so area. Area is, we know that the perimeter is all the way around this shape. The area is actually the measurement of the shape inside. Okay, so it's within the shape. I want you to have a look at this picture, and which shape is larger, the door or the window? So have a think. Which shape do you think is larger, the door or the window? Okay, and I want you to have a think. How do you know? How can you prove to me that either the window or the door is larger than the other? How would you know? If you want to, you can pause the video here to give yourself a little bit more time, or to have a go. This work can go in your jotter, so you should all have in your packs which you collected a squared book. If not, if you've not got any squared paper, that's absolutely fine. You can do it in the yellow jotters that you've got online paper, absolutely fine. Can you just show me, prove to me how you know which is bigger, the door or the window? Okay, then you can move on to question B, which is there more than one way to find the answer? Now, hopefully you'll have answered this question whilst proving this one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to share both pages now, and this is where we're going to share the answer. So here, the area of the shape is the name we give to the space it takes up. So the space it takes up inside. The larger the shape, the larger its area. So here, we have measured the window. Now, we've measured the window here using counters. So we've used the counters to measure how big the window is. Now, each of these counters fit inside. There are 15 counters altogether, because I can see an array that has got 3 rows and 5 in each row. So 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, the window also can be covered by counters. Now, that's the other thing to remember when you're working with area. However you measure the inside of the area, whatever unit you use, whether that be squares, counters, blocks, pencils, hands, however you want to use it, as long as you use the same unit to measure the second shape to make sure that it is fair. Okay, so this time we've measured the door using counters again, and we've got 7 rows this time with 2 in each row, so 7 times 2 is 14. Even though we are looking at area, we've got a bit of a link here to our multiplication. Okay, so we're still using a multiplication. So these counters are starting to look like an array, which makes me think I know array, I know about multiplication, and that's how I can work out, rather than starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that they are in 3 rows of 5, and I can work that out nice and quickly with my multiplication. Another way to find the answer is to use different objects to measure the area. Again, if we use the different objects, that's absolutely fine, as long as we're using that other object to measure the other unit to measure the other object as well. Okay, so we've got the window is covered by 30 triangles, whereas the door is covered by 28 triangles. Therefore, the window is bigger than the door. And the same here. The window is 15 counters, the door is 14, the window is bigger than the door. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the think together. Now, I'm just going to take it down to one page again. Just want you to have a look at this first shape. Now, you can see that you've not got counters at home. That's absolutely fine if you've not got counters at home. So I want you to just pick something at home. Okay, this is just a standard rectangle. So you don't need to necessarily measure the shape. You might measure the shape of your book, which is also a rectangle. But can you find something at home that is a rectangle? And then can you find something that you have got a lot of in order to measure it? So for example, I've got lolly sticks. I might use these lolly sticks to pop over the top of the rectangle to find out how many lolly sticks it is. And then I'm going to do, excuse me, the same with the next one. Okay, so make your life a little bit easier by using a book or a rectangle that you can see at home and using a units that you have to hand. If you measure, because this is counted with counters, you could use pencils, you could use Lego, whatever you have to hand at home to measure using the area. As long as you're getting the idea, the area is the space inside. How much space is being taken up inside? Okay, once you've done that, can you then find another shape and use the same objects, the same unit of measurement to measure the other shape, and then tell me whether or not your book or your whatever you decided to measure is bigger or smaller than the other. I know this is a little bit different because I can't give you this in front of you, okay? But really the learning is, and the maths here that we need to remember is that the measurement, the shape, start again, the area is the space inside the shape, and then we have to use the same method, unit of measurement to measure both, okay, when we're comparing. Okay, the second one you can do without needing any other objects. So what is the area of the shape? I need to count how many triangles fit inside this rectangle. That gives me the area of the shape. So I want you to pause the video here, and can you write down in your books how many triangles fit inside this rectangle? Okay, I'm going to work it out now. So there are 30 triangles in that rectangle. Okay, so there are 30 triangles in that rectangle. Okay, so before we go on to the challenge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you what it would look like in your practice books. So as we would do normally with our math, we always have a discover. We have a think together where discover is where I am teaching you the method, telling you how to do it. Think together is where we're having a bit of a sharing the method that we've used, applying it to our learning. Then we would go into our practice books, which is where you are independently doing your work. So your practice book for this lesson looks like this. Okay, you can still see my screen. What I want you to ignore is I want you to completely ignore question 1, because question 1 is very similar to question 1 of our Think Together, where it involved you actually placing counters on top of that square. You can't do that because obviously not all of you will have counters at home. I know I don't. Okay, so it's quite hard to do that question. So just ignore question 1. What you can do, however, is question 2, 3, and 4. And these 3 questions can go into your book. So all I would like you to do is, I'm going to do it on my board behind, hopefully you can see it, okay, is I just want you to record it like this. Oh, silly, I'm going to break Miss Note's board, whoopsie daisy. You're going to write question 2, write today's date, which is the 11th of the 1st, 2021, underline that, and you're going to write question 2A, and then you're going to write that sentence that it tells you. So the area of this quadrilateral is about. Okay, so you're going to write that STEM sentence. Obviously, at this point, you're going to need to pause the video so you can get the questions on the STEM sentence on here. And then you're going to need to count how many dominoes are within that quadrilateral. So how many dominoes take up the space of that quadrilateral. Now here, it's important to realize with this shape and with this shape, we're using the word about roughly. That is because you can still see there are spaces in between these units of measure. Okay, that tells us that actually what have been used to measure these 2 shapes are probably not the best units of measurement. So Power Maths really have given us 2 objects that probably wouldn't be the most accurate measurement. Okay, so that's why it says about. We're going to roughly work out about how many dominoes make up that quadrilateral, how many buttons make up this triangle. Okay, and I want you to remember to write those STEM sentences like this in your book. So write the date and then the first STEM sentence. Obviously, I've not finished it. You're going to finish it and write down the amount. Okay, and then once you've done a question 2A and 2B, I want you to have a look at question 3. Okay, where it asks you to complete the following sentence. So area is the word used to describe something. So what have I been saying? think about what I've been saying, okay? Then shade the area of these shapes. Okay, so again, think about what does area mean? How will I represent it in those shapes? So just shade the area. If I was asking you to shade the perimeter of the shape, you would be drawing a line all the way around the outside. So that is a massive clue. Think about where is the area? Where will you find the area of those shapes? And then finally, actually, I've just realized, question 3B, you're going to need to draw those shapes. Doesn't matter how big or small you draw them, whether they look exactly the same, doesn't really matter. As long as you draw 3 shapes, a circle, a rectangle, and a square in your book, and you shade the area. That is all I need from you. Okay, and then question 4, it says to tick all of the examples that could be used to show area. Again, this isn't in front of you, so all I want you to do is write the sentences, or just write the letters of the sentences that can be used to show area. So for example, A, the number of children that can sit on a mat. B, the number of potato prints that cover a piece of paper. C, the number of steps it takes to walk around the outside of a field. And D, the number of bathroom tiles that cover a wall. Not all of those represent area. Okay, so think about what we know about area here. And what we know about area here, which of those statements involve measuring area? Okay, so just write down either, so you could write 4 and then give me the letters that do, or you might write 4 and then the sentences of those letters that do, because you can't necessarily tick on here, so save yourself a bit of a job. Last but not least, your challenge. I want you to think about, how do we use area? Why do we need to know about area? Okay, why do we need to know about area? So pause the video here, have a think. Why do we need to know about area? Okay, hopefully you will have mentioned about we need to use area in everyday life all the time. If I'm cooking a big dinner, a big Sunday roast, I'm not going to necessarily use the smallest plates that I have because it's not going to fit. I want a large area in order to fit my dinner, on. Okay, if I'm thinking about remodeling my garden, and I want an area there where I can have some decking. I also want a place for a pool. I need to think about how much space I have within my garden, what's the area of my garden, then also how much space I would like in my pool and how much space I would like decking. So area kind of comes in your everyday life all the time. Okay, this is why it's so important, and it's going to be our learning for the rest of this week. Okay, please do share your just pictures of your workbooks. When I say workbooks, I do mean just the jotters that you're doing this in. Okay, I don't expect anybody to be printing these off. Please don't do that, you don't need to. Okay, so remember, you're not doing question 1, you are doing question 2. Question 3, drawing these shapes yourself. And question 4, just telling me which ones do show area. Okay, and that is it. Cannot wait to see you soon. And goodbye.